Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of AKP Sports Talk. As always, I'm Ari here with Korea. What a Super Bowl that we had last night, literally down to the wire as much as it could be, pretty much. 3 seconds left in overtime. Chiefs defeat the 49ers 25-22, I believe it was. Mahomes, does it again. It was a bit of a slow start for both offenses. Picked up a bit in the second half, more so the fourth quarter, and then obviously the overtime. I know we were both on the Chiefs, obviously, so we were both happy to see them win for more than one reason, obviously. Korea, what did you think of the game and the finish and just everything?
Yeah, I mean, you can't write it. That was just classic, Super Bowl, big time highlights, throughout that game. I want to say, throughout the game, it was a little bit of a slug, a little bit of a dud fest, I will say, not going to lie. Just, when you look at, both defenses, you got to give credit where it's due. The Niners pretty much won the battle at the line throughout the game. We saw Christian McCaffrey averaging 5-6 yards a carry each run. And, that's kind of how you want to establish a run game. And, I also had McCaffrey anytime touchdown as a leg, so that was free. I also gave out McCaffrey first half anytime touchdown, and that was amazing to see off of that Juwan Jennings pass. And I where I was the TV froze, so all we saw was Christian McCaffrey running into the end zone, and I was going crazy, so I didn't care who did what or what. And then we saw the play after, we were like, oh my god, it was crazy. Uh but yeah, no, that was nice to see the first half play. But and then the Chiefs, offensively, could not get anything really going. We saw the couple of miscues with Pacheco fumbling twice, and we saw the Mahomes interception where he threw over Kelsey, and that was a questionable throw. And just the ending of the game was obviously just so storybook. The offenses really started to get going in the second half. We saw Brock Purdy make some decent throws in that fourth quarter as well. We saw Patrick Mahomes kind of be Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey be Travis Kelsey. Those two, uh, the real undeniable connection on the field. Those two always kind of link up. When in the biggest spots, in the biggest moments, and we saw Travis Kelsey kind of lead and kind of dominate. That second half. With a big with big catch after big catch on first and second down, kind of big moving the chains. And obviously the whole 49ers situation, with not knowing the rules and all that nonsense. I mean, that's on them. I mean, that just shows the 49ers organization. I mean, they know they're going to the postseason, right? So you should better learn what the postseason overtime rules are, just in case it happens. That's just me here. But that's another conversation for another time. Obviously the right team, who was prepared, obviously made was obviously the winner in that case. And going back to all of my plays, obviously I had the Chiefs +2, Chiefs money line. As you already had the Chiefs money line, I know you were sweating. I know you were sweating. I was sweating too. I was praying. I was doing my prayers. I think it was like on the 3rd and 4. When at the 2-minute warning, I was doing my prayers. That was a sweat. That was a sweat, unbelievable. But obviously, Chiefs did get the win, so obviously that was nice to see. For both of us, for, like you said, more than one reason. Mahomes, obviously, they didn't come until late in the second half, but they did come over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Obviously, he had the game winner to McCole Hardman, and obviously the other one I believe that was to MVS on that leap throw. So obviously those 2 passing touchdowns, that was, I mean, like I said, the Chiefs offense didn't really get anything going pretty much until like the late in the third, early in the fourth quarter. I kind of, it was kind of the script for this Chiefs team, for the past Super Bowls that they've won, 2 against the Niners, and then obviously the one against the Eagles, down early, but somehow miraculously the fourth quarter rally comes and they come back and win. Then George Kittle, I'm sorry. I hate I'm gonna have to do this. But this man talked about, oh, I'm gonna be back. Oh, this is a revenge game for me. This man had 2 receptions for 4 yards. Now, yes, he did get injured with the shoulder. He came back. Where was he? I had an APB out for George Kittle. I was like, where's my man at? He disappeared. He had 2 receptions. It's hard, right? Because you expect things to go one way, and you can kind of credit the Chiefs defensive line kind of forcing, rush throws, whether it was a dump down to Christian McCaffrey. We saw some pretty good throws over the middle, whether it was to Juwan Jennings on the side, or we did see Brandon Ayuk have a couple good throws over the middle, a couple good catches, over the middle. George Kittle just didn't really get involved. It was pretty much shut down all game. I know Nance and Romo were talking about how George Kittle was, pretty much not even an X factor throughout the game. So you got to really credit the Chiefs defense for kind of just taking him out of the equation, along with Deebo Samuel. Pretty much, that's another guy who said, "When the bright shine light the most, where am I?" Exactly. And then the short down, unfortunately, I thought there was going to be a 1 yard rushing touchdown, but in this game there were just so many field goals, and the touchdowns were at least 20 yards plus. Obviously, we saw obviously the shortest one, probably the Chiefs game winning one. I think that was a 3 yard touchdown. So, didn't really cash for us anyway. So, I'm not really beating myself too much. I just thought there was going to be any kind of 1 yard right. I thought that, the offenses were going to do at least a little more, but, we saw, how these defenses really prepared, for each offense. The Niners really limiting Mahomes' scramble ability to make plays. And then, the Chiefs kind of just dominating, at the line, batting Brock Purdy's throws as soon as, he, releases the ball from his hand. Then obviously, like I said earlier, McCaffrey anytime touchdown, that was so free. Obviously off of that wild trick play, obviously the Juwan Jennings throw to Christian McCaffrey, he took it up for the touchdown in the first half. I even gave out first half anytime touchdown, so that also hit. That was plus money. That was also my lean. I just, like I said, for people who didn't want to say, oh, just because he's going to score, he's minus 225. Okay, we'll just take it in the first half, and that's what happened. He didn't score in the second half, and I saw a lot of people put over 1.5 touchdowns for McCaffrey, and he didn't get any in the second half. So if you just took that first half touchdown, that's all you needed. So that was great to see the McCaffrey props both hit as well. So, with George Kittle and his revenge game status, just, not showing up as well. And, obviously with the negative game script for the shortest touchdown under 1.5 yards, just a lot of, stalled drives from both teams and didn't really get into the red zone. I think the Niners' first trip into their first snap in the red zone came in the fourth quarter. So both of these teams really not getting anything going offensively to really drive to the red zone all the way down to the one. I think the Chiefs had a couple opportunities with, guess who? Isaiah Pacheco. That's another guy who said, when the lights shine bright the most, where am I? Fumbling the ball twice, not scoring. It's okay. It's all right. Super Bowl's gone. NFL's in the rear view. You know what? I'm gonna take the fact that the Chiefs obviously had that comeback win. That was the big win, obviously, for me on the day. That was the one I was sweating the most. Just, as soon as the parlays were ruined, I was like, come on, Chiefs, just come come back and win this. Enough of this Brock Purdy nonsense. This, oh, save me, bro. Enough of that nonsense. I had enough of it. And then obviously for the 49ers and their incompetence when it comes to postseason overtime rules, that was absolutely blasphemous. That was an enjoyable scene to see post game, with seeing all the guys talking about Kyle Juszczyk, a veteran in this league, not knowing what the postseason overtime rule change was. That was cinema to me. But obviously great game script, obviously. Good congratulations to all the Swifties out there, along with Kansas City Chiefs on another Super Bowl and another great game. Ari, I know you had a bunch of interesting props, and obviously the Chiefs money line. How did you and your props?
Yeah, not great on the props, but Chiefs, like you said, was our biggest play, so that was the one that we were throwing the most. Deebo, he had like 11 targets, only caught 3 of them. I was waiting for him to break off that one big play that he usually does. Like, as someone who is, sweating Kansas City, I was just waiting for anybody in the Niners to break off one their one big play that they seem to do every game. And, usually Deebo is one of the guys that does that, and it just didn't happen. And he saw, like I said, he saw 11 targets. He also had the hamstring injury where he went, I think, into the blue tent. He came back in. Who knows if that hampered him the rest of the game at that point as well. So tough one there. The Chiefs scored 3 straight times. So, I'll take it first for, because obviously I had more on the Chiefs to win, obviously. So, that one was an L. And then Mahomes, I think he had over 300, I believe. So he scored over the passing yards. So 2-2 overall. But the biggest one and the Chiefs money line hit. So obviously positive in the end.
Yeah, you mentioned just really negative game script for Debo, obviously getting injured, and then we saw a couple throws from Brock Purdy that just literally went right over, Debo's head. So just a couple of those, throws that he makes, that could change, his total for receiving and rushing yards there. And then the Chiefs' first half didn't really show up as well. You mentioned zero first half points.
Oh yeah, I didn't
So
even.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
what
excuse me, yeah,
the
excuse me, three, yeah.
what the fumble Pacheco had, like you mentioned, like obviously hurt that because if they got a touchdown there, obviously they would have that was what like middle of first quarter I want to say, so they would have plenty of
Yeah,
time to
yeah, it was
score another. So yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much right after the McCaffrey fumble in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, just negative game script, just very defensive. So that was just tough. And then obviously the Chiefs, just not really showing up until the third quarter. And then you mentioned not the Chiefs obviously scoring 3 unanswered times, obviously throughout obviously a fourth quarter and overtime. So that's another just tough loss for you. But obviously, at the same time, the more important game, the Chiefs money line, that was the bigger win, obviously, for you. And then Patrick Mahomes, obviously, going way over that 260-yard passing prop. I think it finished at around 261 or something, and he soared over it. Obviously, it comes over 309 passing yards on the evening for the Super Bowl win. So that was obviously our best bets for the Super Bowl. Another bit fun season for the NFL, but now obviously football is now officially in the rear view. No more NFL, no college for a long time, unfortunately. But fortunately for us, that does bring the future of what's coming up, March Madness, all those fun sports. But I got a couple picks for tonight. Obviously, these are just for college basketball, and I'm gonna go straight back to the hardwood, my favorite sport. We're gonna go to the Big 12 here. TCU taking the minus 11 and a half. I'm home. I'm fading West Virginia in this point. I think that TCU, obviously at home, is one of the better offenses. We talk about how TCU on the road, especially in how loaded this conference is. They're not the strongest team on the road, but they know how to get it done at home. And, in this spot, West Virginia, just one of the worst teams. We talk about, just how this team is just not just competing at any really competitive level right now. They have a couple back wins in their pocket, beating Kansas at home, but on the road they're not the same team. They've had some tough losses, and I don't think they have a single road win and on the season. And then you look at this TCU team at home. Obviously one of the better scoring teams, and I just like the better team to score a lot of points. So I'm going to take TCU just minus the 11 and a half at home. That's minus 135. If you wanted to take it all the way to plus 12, minus 12, I don't blame you. I think TCU wins this by at least 13 more. I'm just taking a little bit more juice on there at minus 11 and a half. You can take it all the way up to minus 12 as well. And then I'm taking Kansas and Texas Tech. I'm taking that under 146. That's minus 135 as well. And I know there is some injury question with Kevin McCullough Jr. I believe he is playing, but I haven't heard anything official. But
There
either
were two guys ruled out, I believe I saw. I don't know if he was one of them.
Oh, so well, yeah, like I said, so still some injury issues for Kansas, and even if he was there, I still like this under. Texas Tech at home, one of the better defensive teams, obviously as well in the Big 12, and Kansas, their road home splits have not been the greatest in terms of how their offense produces, but they're obviously one of the better, more defensive teams, not only in the conference but just how they play with Bill Self, and then
Yeah, McCullough is out.
and then that's another big reason. I mean, that's another big. That's pretty much one of the big reasons why I'm on the other. McCullough is out now, so we talk about how Kansas depends on their shooters, and McCullough is one of them. Obviously, that means they're just if I'm looking at Texas Tech, I do like if now I do lean a little more Texas Tech spread. I think I saw it at 2.5. I think that's going to jump, so get on it quickly. But I do like the under as well. I think Kansas is not really going to show up as much. I just think this is a really bad spot. Injuries are piling up for this team. Hunter Dickinson's going to be the focus for this Texas Tech team defensively. And then obviously, they still have Johnny Furphy, but, I feel like, losing McCullough is the bigger loss, out of that trio for Kansas. And then Texas Tech, obviously one of the better teams, in terms of how their offense produces, in terms of at the line and their 3-point percentage. So I just think, and then when we talk about how Kansas's defense, they know how to play, and defense travels as well. And I think Kansas's defense can really, really get in the lanes and force, some turnovers against a team that is vulnerable to turnovers in Texas Tech. So I think this game is just going to go under. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, but If I do have a lean now that I'm finding out that McCullough is out, I do like Texas Tech on the spread. I think I saw that at -2.5, but I think that's probably going to go up to 3 or 3.5 now. So I take it there before it goes all the way up to probably 4 for 5.5. I know it's going to skyrocket even more, but those are my two plays for today. Just sticking with the Big 12, TCU -11.5, and then Kansas, Texas Tech. I'm fading both of these offenses today. I'm just taking the under 146. Those are all my plays. You can find both of these plays once again on our Twitter, AKP Sports Talk. That's going to do it for this episode. Obviously, coming up soon, we're going to be getting into some MLB futures, obviously, as we get closer to pitchers and catchers reporting very soon and, the beginning of spring training. We're going to be taking a look at, some of the maybe season win totals, maybe division winners and all that fun stuff, maybe even a World Series winner, who knows, this far out. But we're going to be taking a look at some MLB futures coming up, just shifting the content, obviously, since, the end of football season is now in the rear view. And we got to look forward now. We got March Madness, obviously, of course, the big tournament. We're going to have so much college basketball now coming up in these next few weeks as we get closer to Champ Week, my favorite personal week, personally, my favorites. And that'll be post-surgery for me, obviously, with my ACL tear. So I'll just be sitting up watching all the college basketball for the first 2 weeks of March. So get ready for that as well. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. That is Ari. I'm Kareem. We will see you guys soon. Peace out.